afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'd like to bring this meeting to order, please. Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee for Monday, August 6, 2018. I'm Paul Krikorian, joined by my colleagues, Mr. Kretz and Mr. Blumenfield, and we're ready to begin today's meeting. Members, first of all, item 6 is going to be continued. And I would propose for consent approval items 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15. And I'd also, don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. Don't disrupt this meeting or you'll be gone. Item number 12, I would propose on consent that we note and file. So that, again, is items 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, unless members have questions or concerns. All right, we do have public comment on those items, but just for the sake of members of the public who are here, we'll go ahead and hear public comment on those items, on those consent items. Then we'll proceed directly into closed session because we have no more open session items other than those. So we'll go ahead and take public comment on, let's see, from Mr. Previn first on items on our agenda. Yeah, you know what? Yes. So 2 minutes on his agenda items and 1 minute on general, because you asked nicely. We'll do it that way. And then followed by Mr. Previn, followed by Armando Herman.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
Mr. Flexibility. It's Eric Previn from the 2nd District, Studio City, and today you have just a dizzying number of litigations about the sewer problem in CD11, trip and fall, sidewalk uplift issue, the impoundment of bandit taxis, a whistleblower protection case, and the one you continued was an excessive noise ordinance down in Venice, and failure to provide accommodations as well as retaliation. So this is just a lot of stuff, including a small lot subdivision. To cover the cost of that, we often hire outside counsel, and the numbers are hard to tell because this is through March of 2018, and we've been reading in the LA Times about the escalating liability costs and the questions about how we hire the attorneys. There's Arent Fox, we've spent almost, I think we're halfway toward the $250,000 in that case. There's Best and Krieger, who I have to speak out at item number 10 as well, is a firm that has been working closely with Channel 35, ITA, and AT&T, and yet we cannot shift $275,000 from one particular contract to another without getting their assurance from a legal standpoint that Council Rule 93 is being violated boldly in front of the constituents, and hashtag Blumenfield knows it has to come to an end because it's just so obvious to people and they're starting to go, well, where does this go, but to just opening it and making it fair for everybody. That's what people expect. Item 11 is LexisNexis, and the city attorney is greasing up that firm that has a robust contract over 4 or 5 years. There are basically each of 500 attorneys takes, if you would believe it, $450 to get them the LexisNexis suite on their computer. It's not necessary for them all to have it, since a high percentage of them are not doing anything useful and do not do that kind of research that's necessary to have all the education. So I would really have that downsized by about half. It's $1 million contract, so it's worth looking at. And then you've got your arbitrage calculation specialist for $160,000. We should compare notes. I have a good guy who works very closely on that. And finally, the sex trafficking in Martinez and Weston's district is being divided equally, $500,000 for each section, $500,000 being shifted mainly from the Valley to South Bureau. And for my general public comment, I will make it very brief. I think the public does have a real interest in overseeing litigations. And I know you're trying up here, the 4 or 5 of you, there's only 3 today, but the city council and the rest of the council and the mayor, do they know the complexity? I start to wonder, because there's a lot of delegated authority going on. And I think some of you know I brought a big suit to the Supreme Court with the County Board of Supervisors to get them to be a little more disclosey. And though they have agreed to be a little more disclosey, they're not nearly disclosey enough. And the problem is that the problem's metastasized, the public has no idea, and we don't even know that the supervisors, or by analogy, the council members here are fully up to speed about the details of the litigation. Now, you're all not lawyers. You can't be in the weeds on every single case. But by making these meetings more open and public, we will bring the information to you, and you will then be more comfortable saying, are you crazy? Of course we're not going to give $6.5 million to these guys for riding a bike in an area where there are no bikes and there never were allowed to be bikes. Godefroy. So I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herman.
So you see in item 1, we got shit, sewer backup, and it's time that Mr. Stefan Fauble do his fucking job with these so-called shit backups, the shithead. And then we go to item 8 regarding Mr. Jacob Cohan, which I sat in the claims department with Paul Martin Krikorian, who's not eligible to practice law in California under 115953 for disciplinary and non-disciplinary action. Then I go to item 11 regarding Herb's LexisNexis. No, not his fat daughter, the bitch. I'm talking about the firm. Not necessary to pay $1 million for LexisNexis for a new total contract when there's available to your free access the fucking law library across the street. Then we go to the wetbacks on the back side of the booklet here, dealing with Jose Huzar, relative to blowing a market sale for 2 vehicles to gang alternative programs, the same TMUs that fuck us wetbacks. Then you go into item 15 regarding Tamar Obese Cunt, not always with the K, but I'm dealing with the wetback from CD6, a motion, $100,000 set aside for 2018, 2019 to adopt human trafficking. Well, where is human trafficking? It's in the valley. It's in the valley where all the wetbacks like to traffic children. Because if you're an immigrant, you don't speak language, the best thing for you to do is give up your body and fuck. The same way the LAPD fucked the young cadets. Do you not remember that? So prostitution don't only deal with Van Nuys and Nuri Martinez fat ass. It deals with the cunts who work for LAPD. Now my general public comment under deprivation. What deprivation of civil rights am I falsely making? Well, none. Because you making an arrest against Wayne Spindler when you did, and now having a profile against Wayne Spindler, Armando Herman, Eric Previn, John Walsh, Antonio Ramirez, what the fuck's wrong with you people suppressing our participation in public meetings? It needs to stop. It must stop. Judge Dean Ferguson told you unreasonable motherfuckers to stop fucking with the public. Hunt versus the city of Los Angeles and fucking David Salzberg, again, fucked you guys in the courts. So stop threatening, stop intimidating, and stop bringing this fucking profile of deprivation against us under U.S. Code Section 242 of the United States. I'm an American, not a wetback, protected by the Constitution or laws. Fuck you, Mr. Paul Krikorian.
We'll go now into closed session, so if you're not here on item number 1, please exit the room. All right, members, we're back in open session, and just for the sake of the record, before we went into closed session, we did exhaust public comment on all closed session items except item number 6, which has been continued. And before we had gone into closed session, I recommended consent approval, which I'd like to do so again on items 9, 10, 11, 13, and 14, and 15, and recommend that we note and file item 12. So if there's no objection to proceeding accordingly, that will be the action of the committee. And there being no other business before the committee, we are adjourned.